Hello and welcome to the Daktronics Experience Podcast. I'm Justin Oxner here with Matt Anderson. Today we're here with Mark Natale. He's an applications engineer at Daktronics. Mark, can we start with just a little bit of your history and how you got started here at Daktronics?
Yeah, sure. So it's nice to be on the podcast with you guys and happy
First
to be
timer.
here. Yeah, exactly. So I started in college athletics. When I first graduated from college, I started at American University in college and then went to Johns Hopkins for a couple of years. Worked there in the broadcast side of things, also event production, and then went to Loyola University, Maryland for a couple of years. After Loyola, went to Gonzaga, so got to run the McCarthy Athletic Center for 3 years, and then eventually a quick stop at Louisville, and then joined the team here at Daktronics.
There you go. So when you were doing production at these different facilities, kind of what was it? Were you in charge of the overall event production? Did you kind of help out in multiple different areas in the control room?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I did the broadcast production side and event production. Also dabbled in marketing and social media stuff as nice. Well. So kind of a jack of all trades, which lines up very well for applications engineering.
Yeah, the lines get blurred more and more these days when people say you're in broadcast. It's like, all right, that could now be in venue, on TV, on the website, social media as well too. So you kind of dabbled in a bunch of spots.
Right, and now you're with Daktronics, applications engineer. What region specifically are you covering, and how long have you been in that specific region?
Yeah, so I cover California and Hawaii, and also some of our spectacular side of things. So some of our major mall accounts. So I've been here for just over 2 years now.
Okay, and then how did you end up hearing about the job then? I mean, you and the Daktronics must have crossed paths, right, in all the different places you said that you worked at, but kind of how did you hear about it and what did you know about Daktronics going in?
Yeah, as a customer, I've been working with Daktronics basically since I walked past the stage on graduation day. So, I've been very familiar with the Daktronics product line. As a customer, I developed a really good relationship with one of my field engineers, Brian McGeever, who's also now a regional applications engineer for the Mid-Atlantic region. So, he and I were very familiar with each other. When he was on site, for field work, he would walk me around and explain what he was working on. And on the control side of things, he would kind of walk me through what updates he was doing, why he was doing them, what the updated features were that we were getting added when he was doing those updates. So from that point, I was really interested in joining the Daktronics team.
Okay. Nice. And we heard from a lot of different applications engineers we've talked to that their job is kind of to make stuff work and on the back end and make sure that when you turn on that screen, it does what it's supposed to.
Everything works together?
Make sure everything works together and does what the customer's expecting it to do, right? So you're in charge of a lot of these big systems and making them work. Is that a lot of complex, multiple screens, multiple locations throughout a venue? Is that pretty common for what you're supporting?
Yeah, it depends on the site for sure. Between, large major professional venues all the way down to some of our, smaller colleges and universities. It really runs the gamut. So you kind of have to be on your toes to be able to adapt your solutions based on who it is that you're talking to. So we can have those mega systems with multiple displays, multiple screens, multiple players and processors all working together to be in sync in one facility, or you can be really super focused and really trying to dial in, one specific aspect for, a small college, baseball venue or something like that.
Is that part of the allure too then of why you wanted to come to Daktronics? I know when we talked with, Michael Cruz, who was on, depending on when these all air, but we talked to Michael Cruz, so maybe a spoiler alert, but him coming from the Texas Rangers, and it was one of those, lots of baseball games going on throughout a year. He was looking for something a little change because it's, all right, now he gets to dabble kind of in all these different areas. Was that kind of the draw to you as well?
I think my experience as sort of a jack of all trades when it comes to, PR or marketing or event production or broadcast production really lent itself well to this side of the job. I feel like I can really speak well to our customers and give them knowledge and insight from a lot of different areas. Mm-hmm. As you all know, during event production, there's a lot of people that have interest in what goes on in a stadium throughout any given event. So there's a lot of hands kind of tugging at the responsibilities and looking for their special interests. And I feel like I can speak to a lot of our customers about my experiences in that space.
And you kind of mentioned you've gone over into what we call the spectacular side, or at the other markets. Is there, and again, you don't have to name by name, but kind of what was that like then? Have you worked in any of those projects yet since you've been at Daktronics, and kind of how is that different than what you were used to, I guess, from the live event side?
Yeah, so our major mall accounts, we have multiple sites across the country with those major accounts, and learning what they're looking for, whether it's the opportunity to include a live production, at their facility, say for a Super Bowl event or, a fashion show walk or something like that. I think there's a mix between the scheduled side of things where VCS is really, driving the point home, or show control for a live event production.
Okay, so with those, like you said, the major mall accounts, is that a lot of indoor screens or exterior marquees, or is it really everything? And you talked about being able to do live events too. I'm curious, is that like, okay, we make sure that the control side of it can schedule stuff, or it's able to run some live things?
Yeah, a mix of everything, really. So we're looking at indoor, outdoor. I think Daktronics does a really good job at helping our customers envision the space in a way that will take advantage of the customers that are walking through the door. So I think we do a really good job at helping our customers see what their space is and want to capitalize on the foot traffic that's walking through that space.
I think it's kind of in your job role too, right? Is the maybe in the pre-sale side of things to be able to kind of look and suggest different things that are needed. So when they end up getting their display and control system, they say, hey, I want to do this. And it turns out you don't have the equipment to do that, right? So you're kind of involved on both sides of the sale, right?
It's relationship building for sure. Knowing what the customer wants ultimately for their project is really half the battle. So yes, when you speak about, knowing what the control system is that needs to be included, or, just what they're looking for in terms of the space, applications engineers don't often deal with the physical side of sales. We're not really talking to our customers about the displays, but we have the relationships with our customers. And, if we're walking site and they go, hey, I've been thinking about this, little window or something like that, we can turn to our sales team and really help guide them and say, hey, these guys are looking about, these little areas. So
yeah. I heard LCD wall up over here. Maybe we should talk to them about some newer pixel.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe when you're hearing those things, it's a lot about, okay, this is what the customer is looking to do, or this is the tech that they want, or is it, hey, they want some tech and they're looking to do this in the space, and maybe you kind of help engineer that together? Is it a little bit of both sometimes?
Yeah, again, a little bit of both. I think my biggest focus when I'm speaking with my customers is thinking longer term. Okay. I don't want necessarily a short-term solution for what they're looking for. I think when I'm discussing projects or ideas, I want to think through, hey, what's the next 2 to 3 years? What's the next 5 years look like down the road? And really speak through, hey, here's the expectation of, what a timeline from Daktronics would look like. Does this align with what you guys are looking for an installation timeline? Or, hey, there's a developing technology that we're working on, or a new data set that Daktronics might be coming out with here. Does this interest you? Would you be interested in including this in a future sale?
You got the sneak peek coming up, so you got to kind of not say what it is, but let them know something's coming down the pipeline and let them know.
The fun thing that I think is really cool about our job is that we are sort of facilitators between our development team and our development cycle and our customers. So we bring a lot of feedback back to our development team to explain what our customers are looking for. So yes, I do get some of those sneak peeks and, you able to drop breadcrumbs every now and then of what's coming down the pipe.
So if our customers have something like that and they've got this system in place and you kind of know, hey, there's something else cool that's coming, is it a lot of reaching out to them and saying, hey, here's something new you might want to look to implement? Or is it them saying, okay, I've had my system for a while, I've been controlling it, we've been doing this, we want to try something new. Do you have something? Are they coming to us, or are you giving them those sneak peeks a lot?
Yeah, so it depends on the regional applications engineer on what their relationship with their customer looks like. So, for me, as I've been sort of learning my territory as I've started this position, for me, a lot of it has been focused on relationship building. So part of that is introducing some of those newer technologies that are coming down and saying, hey, we've got something really cool that's coming up. Would you be interested in having a further discussion about, potentially upgrading your existing equipment to look at what those new technologies could offer you moving forward.
And I think that was kind of one of the main topics we were discussing about what to talk about today, but it was the control system upgrade maybe. And just even speaking to that, because we talked about how you're on both sides of it, and obviously there's always a new sale whether it's renovation or brand new construction, where the display and the control system are new, they're going together, right? But it doesn't always have to be that way. You could have a display a couple years old. Maybe you didn't get the control upgrade, but now you can. So can you maybe talk about the difference between a new versus old, or not old display, it doesn't have to be old, but what I'm saying is that you don't have to have the display upgrade in order to get a control upgrade as well.
I think it's really important for our customers to realize that they've got a really elite system and to want to care and maintain for that, and expect that halfway through the life cycle of your display, you should be anticipating that a control upgrade is going to need to happen to be able to take advantage of those newer technologies. So, we usually say in that 5 to 6 year range is when you should be looking at a control upgrade. And I think, that's important to start planning ahead of time before, the sticker shock comes of what a control upgrade could look like. Because let's be frank, a new install or a new display is going to be the shiny new toy. Only the people that work on the display and work behind the scenes are really going to notice the improvements of what a control upgrade can offer. But that ease of use, that step up to the next level of technology that Daktronics is offering, that's well worth it in my opinion.
And you're talking hardware and software, right? Because there's different things. You can do improvements throughout software almost every year, even with software updates, but you can kind of bounce between the two of them at least. But
exactly, and there's certain lifetimes on different computers, but between your players, your processors, the software that goes with your system, we're constantly making improvements and advancements on the Daktronics side of things for, new data sets, new player upgrades, those sorts of things. So, there's always something new to chat about.
Yeah, and we've always got new software and hardware that we're updating or, making new innovations to. But is there also the other side of it? Like there's trends that maybe this is a live event and they've seen other people try this thing and they want to do that thing as well. Is it, okay, let's take a look at your existing control and say, what can we do here? Or, yeah, we can do that. Or maybe you need to upgrade to this so that you have that new capability that everybody's kind of looking for. Absolutely.
So for new display installs, sometimes, an administrator doesn't necessarily know what they want to take advantage of. And then, 3-4 years down the line, they say, those guys down the street, they're running a pretty cool show. Do you think we can do that? And it's like, the system that you've currently got wasn't spec'd out to meet those expectations or those, innovations. So, hey, let's maybe step you up from level 2 to level 3, that sort of thing, and really take advantage of what we have to offer.
I think we've always mentioned that probably happens a lot of the times. I mean, maybe right away when a new system comes in, but we always hear after that first year when someone has a new system, then the off season, then that second year is when they start realizing, hey, can I do this? Can I do that? You kind of sometimes see that where it's like, all right, they're fine, they're going well. And then they come back to you a year later and they have all these different ideas to come at.
Absolutely. I think our training team does a really good job when they're first on site of establishing the expectations of what the system is supposed to do and how it's designed. And we get the customer off to a really good spot. But a lot of the time, some of those installations are coming down to the wire of when the season is beginning. Yeah. So you don't have the time to play around and really experiment and explore. So that year or two afterwards, I think is a sweet spot of really advancing your show.
So it doesn't slow down for you after the install is completed. It's not like, okay, here it is. I've taught you how to use it. We'll see you later.
Yeah, good luck.
Oh, next year, what are you trying to do again? Let me see if I can help you out.
Absolutely. I think that's part of our role as applications engineers, is making sure that our customers feel comfortable coming to us and asking us follow-up questions. I think that's part of the fun for me is getting a question of, hey, how do you think I can do this? And, either reaching out to my team, racking my brain of like, okay, how would I walk through this? So I think getting to solve those problems is half the fun.
Yeah,
absolutely. I kind of want to think of maybe to kind of, I would say, wrap this up almost, but we were talking about this before we recorded. So we could start with, why are you back in Brookings? Because you're obviously, as we joked with Mike, you didn't come back here just to be on this from Portland. So kind of what was going on this week? I know we had trainings going on for the application engineers, and maybe just how is that going, and anything stand out to you at all?
Yeah, it's really good. I think when we get together as a group, we're able to more clearly communicate with each other of some of the problems or issues that we run into throughout a given year, through a given sales cycle, something like that. So I think it's good for us to work through the different relationships that we have with our sales team and project managers, some of our design and development team, and really think through what the next products are that Daktronics is going to be offering.
Because I know Crew said it was, Zoom calls are great and all, but there's definitely something different about actually getting together in person at a certain place.
And we've got a really good team. All of our relationships mesh very well together. Our supervisor, Greg Fleshbein, has really done a good job at balancing our personalities and our strengths to sort of hit each of our regions. So I think we're a very well-designed team that can take advantage of what each of our regions have to offer.
And then what time was this to South Dakota too? Because I got to imagine maybe when you first started here, you came back to Brookings, or?
Yeah, so this is my third trip to Brookings.
Okay.
So when I first started, I came out this way for another regional applications engineer trip, and then we did our football user group meetings last year. So I was back here around that time as well.
Say, what month did you come here?
I think that was February or March. So it was a little bit rainier, a little bit colder. So
it's a little nicer now.
Aside from the weather, what did you think of being at the corporate headquarters here and seeing it for the first time, and then seeing it change each time you come back?
Yeah, it's really cool to walk through the manufacturing process and see, the origins of the Daktronics products. I think, whenever you're on site, you always get to build those relationships with the people that you're on the phone with or on Zoom calls with, that you don't necessarily get to meet in person with. So I always emphasize that it's the relationship building that really means the most, and being able to reach out to people in person, hang out, grab a beer with them after the workday is part of the fun.
So we talked a lot about control in your role as an applications engineer. Is there any advice you'd give somebody looking to get an upgrade of their control system?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice is to start planning early and start speaking with your regional applications engineer about what technologies either they have to offer or what you're looking for to add to your system. I think the earlier that process starts, the smoother things go. I think, as someone that came from the college athletics side of things, I know how long it can take for administration to warm up to a larger purchase like that isn't necessarily a new display, but it's still a vital piece of a control system in the Daktronics ecosystem. So I think it's really important to emphasize that you've got to build it for a year or two before it actually gets approved. So getting that conversation started early is really crucial.
Yeah, plan for the future, and you'll be better set up for success, right?
There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Perfect. Well, Mark, we want to thank you for taking the time to join us today and share all about your position here at Daktronics.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mark.